Welcome again to Brookside's Daily Devotions. Thank you once again for joining me. Thinking today about choices. Some choices we make in life are quite trivial. Maybe in a way they're not going to change our lives. What do we have for breakfast? Do you like cereal? What type of cereal do you like? Do you like toast? Whatever else. Maybe it's about what you'll wear in a day. Do you want to dress up or dress more casually? Choices that we make that maybe don't affect that much of our lives. But there's choices that we make that can set us on a path in a different direction. Sometimes a good choice, sometimes not so good a choice. Thinking today about the book of Ruth, right at the end of Judges, because that's where Ruth's story really is. This whole story of this family today and the choices that they had to make. And Elimelech and his wife Naomi and their two sons, they had the choices to make. And it's, would they stay in the land or would they move? There was famine in the land, and an understanding, of course, that they would need to maybe move for food. But there was something else. It wasn't like moving from one city to another today. They were part of the children of Israel. They were part of that covenant family and the worship of God. And God had told them where to live, gave them the boundaries where to live, and encouraged them to stay there. Set in Judges, the last verse in Judges says these words. And this is Judges 21 and 25, and it says, "In those days there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes." Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. I wonder, did Elimelech even consider consulting God, or did he just do what was right in his own eyes? It says, in the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land, Ruth chapter 1, verse 1. "And a man of Bethlehem in Judah went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his two sons. The name of the man was Elimelech, the name of his wife was Naomi. The name of his two sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were from Bethlehem in Judah, and they went into the country of Moab. Now Moab worshipped other gods and remained there." And all of a sudden, the story changes. The choices that they've made, the decision where to go to. But Elimelech, the husband of Naomi, died, and she was left with her two sons. What a tragedy here for this lady, now a widow. But then it says they took Moabite wives, that which was gone against the word of God, not to mix with other nations, not to intermarry. They took Moabite wives, and the name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth. And they lived there about 10 years, and all of a sudden, tragedy strikes again. Both sons die. So the woman was left without her two sons and her husband. Here we find her in this awful situation. But the choices maybe that she made previous, all of a sudden she's gone down a road with her husband, away from the people of God. Not maybe an easy choice to make because of the famine, but rather than stay, pray and seek God and see what God would do, they chose to seek greener fields on the other side of the fence. And things clearly did not work out as they had planned. I wonder about you and I today. Have we made choices in life, major choices, something that has led us down a path maybe away from God? Maybe you've made choices about your career or your work, your education, or whom you would marry, where you would live. And maybe those choices haven't proved to be the right choice as you look back. Certainly for Naomi, here was choices that led her down the wrong pathway. It says then in verse 6, then she arose with her daughter-in-law to return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the fields of Moab that the Lord had visited his people and given them food. Things had changed. The cycle in Judges was that the people often went against God, sinned against God. God sent something, an illness, an enemy against them, famine maybe. They repented of their sin, and God rescued them and saved them. But as we go on in this story, we find out that there are 3 people left. Naomi and her 2 daughter-in-laws. And they've choices to make. And Naomi encourages the 2 ladies to return to their own land. Says in verse 9, the Lord grant that you may find rest, each of you, in the house of her husband. And she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. She was encouraging them to go back to their people. I wonder, was she thinking about the short term, that it was going to be difficult taking these 2 Moabitese ladies with her? There might not even be enough food for them. Maybe they'd be rejected by the people. They were from another land and they worshipped a different God or different gods to the God of Israel. And here we find Naomi thinking about this life. Return, find a husband, a Mr. Right. All may work out well. You might have many children and you might live happily ever after. But there was more to this story, more for these 2 ladies, because there's an eternity for us all. And Naomi maybe thinking just more of this life rather than encouraging them to come with her, encouraging them to come to the God of Israel, encouraging them to follow him and to know him fully in their lives, and there to worship him and live for him. I wonder, do we think maybe more of just this life? Maybe today we're thinking about our finances or our livelihoods, whatever it happens to be, but there is an eternity for each and every person. Wonder, do we encourage others to think about that eternity? To recognize that the person that you look at today, the person you speak to, will spend all eternity in one of 2 places, either in heaven or hell. I wonder what Naomi was working out in this situation. Of course, one of them leaves, goes back, takes the easier route and heads back to her own homeland. But the other, Ruth is a different ballgame altogether. And Ruth says in verse 15, and she said, see, your sister-in-law has gone back to your people, Naomi says, to your gods. Return after your sister-in-law. But Ruth said, do not urge me to leave you or to return from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. May the Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts me from you. And when Naomi saw that she was determined to go with her, she said no more. Here, just as we close today, this determination, this wonderful determination by Ruth to follow the God of Israel. And where you go, I will go. Where you die, I will die. And your God will be my God. Wonder in our lives, maybe we have made bad choices or not good choices. Or maybe God's calling you to think about a choice today, doing something for him, maybe a work for him if you know the Lord today. I know of some people who have made great choices even later in life, maybe retired early to serve the Lord in certain places. Or maybe some folks I know at university, for instance, giving up some of their time to do outreach, to serve God in many different ways, to reach others for Jesus. Or maybe you've never come to know the Christ. Maybe today the big choice is to choose this day whom you will serve, to choose this day whom you will follow, the God of the Bible, to follow Jesus, to give your life to him, or follow the wrong path, to the wrong place. Will you go the hard path with Jesus, or will you go the easy route and walk away from him today? Thank you very much once again for listening. And if we can be of any help to you, please be in touch with us. Thank you.